From haunted dolls to possessed paintings, these items are not for the faint of heart. Join me, your host James, as I unveil 10 peculiar artifacts that have found their way into the digital marketplace. These are the top 10 cursed items listed on eBay, too scary for the Warren Occult Museum. And we're starting off the list at number 10 with the haunted carving. So the owner of this thing claimed it had been in the family for 60 years. Their grandparents had found the item in their attic at some time in the 50s. The seller's grandparents had contacted the original homeowner, who told them it had been gifted to them by a prisoner who had carved it himself. The seller claimed the statue had an eerie aura about it, and when he took it out of its storage box to display it, things got even stranger. He stated in the description that he, quote, began to experience the television turning off and on, lights coming on in rooms no one was in, the kids' toys coming on in the middle of the night in their room at 3 a.m. And that, quote, anyone who comes in contact with it seems to feel strange or creeped out by it. The item sold on eBay for $85 in 2013, because I guess someone wanted that going on in their home as well. Number 9, the statue. This next item was also auctioned off on eBay in 2013. The story all begins with a man named William. William enjoyed sculpting. He made a variety of different statues, but his last one, the one you see here, the one that was up for auction on eBay, William had finished this piece the same day he died during a work-related incident in the brickyard. He had been crushed to death. A coworker had arrived at work the following day to see that William's sculpture was still at the worksite, so he took the piece home with him. Over the course of a few months, strange things started happening, especially after he took the sculpture out of storage to display it. The room he displayed it in began feeling heavy. Other items displayed next to the statue would be found displaced or even broken. He would hear doors opening and closing seemingly on their own. One day, he found the statue facing a completely different direction. If this wasn't all freaky enough, the nail in the coffin was when the owner saw a dark mist as he walked past the room the statue was displayed one night. At this point, he'd finally had enough and handed the thing off to a friend to be posted on eBay. Number 8, we have Daliah. This is a supposedly haunted doll, which is currently up for auction on eBay as we speak. You can also buy it now for $85 US. The item description reads as follows. Daliah came from a recent investigation in Altamont, New York. She was priorly owned by a younger woman whom passed away after falling down her stairs and breaking her neck. The woman had a collection of dolls which she had kept in her living room, except Daliah. Daliah had been kept in an enclosed casing with holy water in her attic due to the nature of her disturbing activity. Her husband called us in due to activity still remaining even after her passing. He claimed she would rattle the floorboards in the midst of the night. You could hear her in the attic. She would speak, laugh in a subtle tone of a sadistic child. Upon checking on her a few times, her casing would be knocked over or in a different spot than they had left her. Myself and team members got the name Daliah through an EVP session. She responds to most equipment, sensory and EVP sessions being her number 1. So yeah, check that out on eBay if you're interested. At our number 7 spot, we have the BFF Dolls. This item, or I guess in this case items, are currently up on eBay for a buy it now price of $50 US, but you can also make an offer on it. So listen to this description and see if you want to seek this thing out. The seller writes, "These two lovely ladies can't bear to be apart, so we keep them tied together. When they've been separated, sounds of crying have been reported in different rooms of the house where they were kept. Supposedly they belonged to two sisters who were put up for adoption to different families and were only reunited after their deaths. Each is approximately 6 inches tall, and they come with a box to help keep them together forever." End of description. So yeah, subscribers, you can too experience the sounds of disembodied crying in your home for just $50 US plus shipping and handling, of course. I actually would love it if one of you got one of these items and let us all know how your life is going after unboxing it. And at number 6, we have another creepy doll. So this one sold on eBay yesterday for I believe $49.75 US. I really like this one, not only because the doll is super unsettling looking, really something that looks like it would only be shown in a horror movie, but also the description is hilarious. So this person wrote, "I'll be much happier when this doll is in your house and the hell out of mine. I'll let the pictures tell the condition of this doll. I'd say she's in rough condition. Didn't realize she was in a shoebox with a bunch of crap I had hauled home to sort through. Dug the shoebox she's in and there she was. Had her sitting around for a few days and found I was a lot more comfortable when she was back in the shoebox and not around me. Don't know what else to say except please, you have her, not me. So please folks, take this thing off her hands." Oh, I guess it already sold. Anyway. Number 5, the hands resist him. So this is of course regarded as one of the most haunted paintings in existence. It's a piece by artist Bill Stoneham. In 2000, a couple in California came across the painting in an abandoned brewery and decided to take it home with them. When they did though, weird things started happening. The story goes that the couple's daughter would complain about the boy and doll in the painting fighting each other at night. The mother also said she had looked at the painting one night only to see the boy missing. And of course he returned to normal the next morning. They listed the piece on eBay with the warning, "This painting may or may not possess supernatural powers that could impact or change your life." At this point, the piece started gaining a lot of attention online. There were stories of people becoming incredibly unsettled or even physically ill just from looking at the painting in the eBay listing. Finally though, the piece was purchased by gallery owner Kim Smith for $1,025. Next up, we have the haunted tap shoes. These were sold on eBay a few years back when the seller started noticing some freaky stuff going on in their late aunt's house. The shoes had been purchased by the seller's aunt at an estate sale. Apparently they had originally belonged to a young woman, a tap dancer named Lisa, who met an untimely end. The eBay seller was cleaning out their late aunt's house when they heard a rhythmic knocking sound coming from a closet. Figuring that there could be a trapped animal in there or something, they very cautiously opened the closet only to find nothing but a pair of tap dancing shoes, as if they had been tapping all by themselves. Suffice to say, they didn't really want a pair of tap dancing shoes containing the spirit of a dead woman in their home, so instead of taking the shoes home or just throwing them out altogether, they tried their luck on eBay and succeeded. At number 3, we have the Asylum doorknob. There are actually a number of Asylum doorknobs that have been posted on eBay in the past. This one here is still up for grabs and was taken from the now abandoned Norwich State Hospital, previously known as the Norwich State Hospital for the Insane. I'm sure we've covered this place on one of our many haunted abandoned places lists. Asylums were hellish places where patients were typically treated incredibly poorly. Many of these former establishments are said to be very haunted, so purchasing a doorknob from one of these places could mean bringing some uninvited energy into your home. If you believe in, that sort of thing, of course. The seller description reads, "I recently explored an abandoned state hospital and came across a vintage doorknob. All these relics are at risk of being lost forever, as the local government has slated this site for imminent destruction. Currently, only 10 buildings stand on a campus that once had over 100 structures. Established in 1905, this hospital for the insane was one of New England's largest psychiatric facilities. It's the renowned abandoned state hospital, and CT famously featured on VH1 and the season finale of the Ghost Hunters show, among others." Number 2, the camera. Alright, there's a lot of paranormal stuff on this list, so how about some real world terror for you. This would have scared the crap out of me. This happened over 15 years ago. A 28-year-old delivery driver from the UK was about to go on holiday to the US. He wanted to purchase a camera for the trip, so he turned to eBay. He snagged a Nikon digital camera for 17 quid. He went on his trip, took some pictures, everything was normal, until he returned home to offload the images on the memory card onto his computer. This is, of course, before phones, where you could just do this in 2 seconds. God, digital cameras. Apparently, the memory card hadn't been wiped by the previous owner, and along with the guy's holiday pictures were images of suspected violent revolutionaries, we'll call them. There were also pictures of rocket launchers and missiles that looked as if they had been seized. This camera had belonged to an MI6 agent, the MI6 being the Foreign Intelligence Service of the United Kingdom. The buyer informed the police about the camera, and special branch officers came to this dude's home to retrieve it. And the days that followed, these officers made 5 separate visits to his home, like grilling him about what he'd seen on the camera. How paranoid would you be after a situation like this? I'd be wondering if my phone was bugged. I'd be giving a side eye to any car that passed me on the street. Awful. Finally though, we have the haunted jar. The story behind this one is pretty insane. So this item was posted on eBay way back in 2003. eBay was a bit more Wild West back then. The seller stated in the item description that they had been exploring an abandoned cemetery with a metal detector when they happened across this jar. The seller took the jar home and decided to open it. According to them, a black mist seeped out of the jar, and from that point on, strange stuff started happening around the house. You can probably imagine what this entailed. Doors slamming on their own, cold spots, yada yada. Well, the item started at 99 bucks. And people started bidding on it. People were likely bidding as a joke though, because the auction ended with a $50,922 bid. Although there are definitely people wild enough for sure to pay that kind of money for something like this, that was not the case here, as the winning bidder never paid up. As for where this jar is now, nobody knows. With all that said, I've been your host James, and I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.